Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Miss Crocheting Coffee here, and today we're doing a Wip N Chat. If you're new to diamond painting, you don't know what a Wip N Chat is. Wip stands for work in progress. So get out whatever it is you're working on. Work along with me. Today I am working on Bubblegum Girl from Bella Safina. It is a 50 by 50, I believe. It is a round with a bunch of ABs. I will have the unboxing linked up there and that little eye that pops out at you to let you know that there's other videos that you can go take a look at that you might enjoy. So I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. We're gonna sit and chit chat about my weekend and how things are going with the family and everything. So again, I hope you're having a wonderful day and had a great weekend. Hope you all were safe. So let's get started. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna find a color. I have them kind of assorted over here. So we have number 2. So this weekend was actually a pretty good weekend for the most part. I did have some, of course, bad moments. Like yesterday, I got a little bit mentally overloaded with everything that's going on with the family. Again, I would like to say thank you to everyone for your condolences. Right now, everybody's doing okay. I just got mentally overloaded because sometimes people expect more out of you than you can give, and you can't give from an empty bucket. So, like, I needed time to myself to grieve, like my grandmother and my uncle. So I took yesterday and I was just like, leave me alone, let me do my thing. We all grieve differently, and the way that I grieve is to be by myself, be with my thoughts. But I was getting mentally overloaded for some reason, and I didn't know why. So Mr. Coffee, in all his greatness, was nice enough to let me hang out with him pretty much all weekend. Like, I was literally up his butt all weekend, and he didn't seem to mind it too much. And he decided that he wanted to get me out of the house to try to help, you know, clear my head. So he's like, well, why don't we take a trip over to Menards? Now, before I lived in North Dakota, I didn't know what Menards was. So if you don't know what Menards is like if Lowe's and Walmart had a baby, it would be Menards. That's the best way that I can describe it to you. They have everything from doors to soup. It's like Walmart and Lowe's had a baby. So he decides we're going to go to the Menards. Now, usually Mr. Coffee doesn't take me out of the house to go shopping for things because it never goes correctly. Like, we go for one thing, we come out with 78 things, we don't even get the one thing we went in there for. So he was like, well, why don't we go out for a little bit? We got up and got everybody settled and everything, and he's like, well, why don't we just go ahead and go out and go out to Menards for a little bit, check to see what they have, because we've been weatherizing the house, because the house that we currently living in, our new apartment, or our new townhouse, isn't weatherized properly. Like, it sucks. So we decided, instead of calling maintenance, we're going to do it ourselves. We're just going to go buy a couple of little things to, like, weatherize the windows and the doors. And he already has most of the windows weatherized. So, like, the only thing left was, like, mostly the front door. Our front door is creating quite the draft. So we decided to go get some more installation for the door. And so he's like, yeah, let's just go over to Menards, because he wanted to show me that they had a couple other things that he wanted to get over the summer for, like, our back screen door, because our screen door has some slashes in it. I'm gonna say slashes. You would think Wolverine was here, but it wasn't Wolverine. It was just the Killian Jones. If you don't know who Killian Jones is, that is my Siberian Husky. He's like 5, and he's kind of a butthole sometimes. So over the summer, Killian decided to try to go after a rabbit that was in the backyard and clawed up the back door, this back screen door. So apparently this place, Menards, has screen doors that are pet safe, meaning if a pet comes over and tries to scratch at your screen door, it won't tear it apart. Usually when you move into apartments like this, like, they have, like, the cheap screen door things, and the one here was hella cheap, so, like, you breathe on it heavy, you'll put a slash in it. And it has scratches from the stray cat that's been roaming around for my neighbors because they keep feeding it. And then they have scratches from the dogs and from my drone, because when I was learning how to use my drone, I accidentally bumped into the window and it clawed up the window with the propellers. So yeah, so we're going to replace the screen door because we plan on living here for a while. Like, we tend to stay in places for 5+ years. So we're going to be here for a while, so we might as well take care of this stuff. Plus, I refuse to call maintenance again. Let me tell you why. So the first time we called maintenance, one, because we're only supposed to have a certain amount of pets, and they're allowing us to have more than what we're supposed to have, which is great. The problem is I don't know, like, I get paranoid when other people come in my house, so I tend to try to hide the ferrets. Not that you can really hide them because they're in a cage, so you just kind of cover the cage. So I'm sitting there, and we called maintenance the first time because the heater in our garage wasn't working. Now, we have a heated garage, but the heater wasn't working. We couldn't figure out for the life of us. Mr. Coffee's going back there. He's turning the thermostat and everything. And he's like, this isn't working. You're going to have to call maintenance. And I'm like, great, maintenance. Maintenance it's always awkward when maintenance comes in the house because I'm usually here by myself. And they're just like asking me a bunch of like mechanical and electrical and plumbing questions. And I'm like, yeah, sure. All whatever you said, fix that. And so the maintenance guy, we call the maintenance guy. He comes out, he goes, he's taking a look at it, and it was funny because it was the last Wednesday of December because I was actually live with my Patreons when he came to fix the heater. And he got it fixed, and what was broken on it was, you know how you have a circuit breaker, and like it has all the little knobs on it that you have to switch to one side to make them have power? Well, ours was turned off. Yep. The good thing about it is, though, we did need a new thermostat. So he did replace the thermostat and gave us a brand new heater so that it will last for a while. So that's a plus side to the situation. Because I try to look on the plus side of the situation, okay? All situations have a plus and a minus side. I try to look at the plus side because I got enough negativity in my life. Excuse me. So I'm sitting there. And I'm like, okay, now I feel stupid because he literally came over, flipped a switch, and installed a new thermostat and heater. And he was like, okay, that's it. All right, bet. The second time we had to call maintenance was 4 days later. Mr. Coffee tells me that we have some mold under our kitchen sink. And I'm like, oh no, we have a leaking faucet. Like our thing is leaking. It's the middle of winter. It's negative 20 degrees outside. I can't afford to have my pipes bursting in the house. And we have already had an apartment on our side of the road here that had a pipe burst in their house. And I'm like, I don't want to go through that. So we got to call maintenance again. So we called maintenance again. That poor lady's probably going to get tired of hearing my voice. I swear, y'all. I don't call maintenance often because usually I just try to get Mr. Coffee to fix whatever's wrong. But there's certain things that I won't let him mess with. And one is electric and one is pipes, like the pipes for under the sink and stuff, because he don't know nothing about that. If it was a car or something, sure. If there's like a broken door or something like that, okay. But everything else, no. We're gonna call maintenance. That's what we pay rent for. And with the amount of rent I pay for this place, look, listen. Anytime I call them, you know, come take a look at this. So I'm sitting there. And I call maintenance again, and I go, hi, we have a leaking faucet. If you guys wouldn't mind coming to take a look at it. Now, we have one maintenance guy, okay? It's just one guy that does all the things. And so he shows up again. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, good. The garage is working great. He goes, oh, that's good to hear. He goes, what else is wrong? I'm like, well, apparently my husband claims that we have a leak under our sink. And he goes, oh, no, let me go take a look at it. Y'all, look, listen. Miss Coffee's not always the brightest crown in the box, not always the sharpest tool in the shed, and neither is Mr. Coffee, apparently, because he said he saw ice, and what he saw was a piece of plastic hanging from the pipe. And I was like, oh, is that just plastic? I'm like, now, I never reached down and touched it or looked at it, because what the hell am I doing? I don't know. I'm not a plumber. What am I going to go down there and look at it for? Like, I'm going to be able to fix it. Like, I'm going to have some magical cure. Look, listen. You want to know what was wrong with the sink? There wasn't a leak. Well, it was dripping a little bit, but not a lot. And the problem was the pipe has a connector that you twist to keep the pipes together, right? And on all sinks, there's like that little spot that makes the U shape, the U pipe. Well, apparently one side of the U pipe wasn't tight enough. And so it was dripping water when the water would settle in the bottom of the pipe. It would drip water every once in a while. Yep, that's why we had to call him. And I was just like, are you f***ing kidding me? I'm like, Mr. Coffee, you could have did that yourself. And he's like, oh, I didn't realize it was just that. Thanks for making me look stupid in front of the maintenance guy yet again. First time he comes over, he flips a switch. The second time he comes over, he tightens a thing on the pipe. So I was just like, thanks. Like, I'm feeling stupid as hell because I'm calling this guy for stupid stuff. Well, then Mr. Coffee's like, well, why don't we call maintenance to fix the door? Look, listen, you will not have me call maintenance another time in this house for at least the next 2 months. I'm not calling maintenance. You're going to have to fix this. And he's like, okay, well, why don't we go over to Menards? He goes, you need to get out of the house anyway. I was like, all right, bet. Now we go over to Menards. Again, I'm not usually allowed out of the house because I spend too much money, apparently. I don't know what he's talking about, but he claims we spend too much money when we go out together. So he goes out by himself, but he wanted to get me out of the house. So I was like, all right, bet. The kids were just like, do we have to? And I was like, yep. Mostly Orion, because Orion's like, look, listen, I like my home. I don't want to leave my home because all my stuff is here. And I'm like, now you sound like your mommy. You're definitely mommy's boy. Because why would I want to leave my house? Like, I feel like people that constantly want to leave their house isn't cozy enough. Like, you need to make it cozy and warming and inviting for yourself. Like, if you don't enjoy your own space, then do something to make it enjoyable for you. But we enjoy our home, so we don't like leaving it because all of our stuff is here. Anyways, so we con Orion into going. It's really easy to con Orion into doing things. Orion, essentially, at this point, I've told him numerous times that anybody ever comes up in a white unmarked van with no windows and ask him if he wants to see kittens and have a beef jerky stick, to tell them no. Because that's how you get Orion to do anything in this house. Hey, Orion, you want a beef jerky stick? Do you want a cat picture? Because we can't get a real one. He literally, this kid will do anything for a picture of a cat or a beef jerky stick. Maggie, on the other hand, look, listen, you got to pull all your teeth out and your heart, and she'll still be like, I'll think about it. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, all right. So the kids get dressed. Mr. Coffee gets dressed. He goes out and warms his car up because his truck has been having issues where it's not shifting. He takes it into the shop next Monday, which is like a week from today because I'm recording this on a Monday. And so he's like, I want to test to see if it's, because it's warm now, if it was just frozen, because they told him it could possibly just be frozen and to let it warm up. So we let it warm up in the garage, which is heated, which is the reason why we needed the heater fixed in the garage. And it's still not working properly. So I was like, no, you're going to have to get that replaced. So I'm sitting there and we go out to Menards. Now it's cold as hell. And my big thing is I hate walking from the store to the car and from the car to the house, especially if you buy stuff. So that's a good motivator for me to not buy anything, is the fact that I have to carry it to the house. And our garage can be slippery because it's smooth concrete. And then you're going from snowy weather to smooth concrete. I'm like, I can already see me busting my head on this concrete. Like, it's not going to be fun. So I'm trying to like be as careful as I possibly can, because y'all all know I'm accident prone. So we get it into the car. It's cold as all get out because it's like negative 20 degrees. And I'm like, people around here acting like it's not negative 20 degrees. And that's the thing that kills me about the people around here, is that they literally will walk around, drive around, and do regular everyday activities like it's not negative 20 degrees. Like, do you realize we're in the negatives, not the positives? Moving right along. So I'm sitting there in the car. We get to Menards. Now, before we get to Menards, we have to go through, I think, 2 roundabouts. 1 or 2 roundabouts. Now, let me just tell you, in the wintertime, roundabouts suck. Why? Because you're going in a circle in the snow. That's a no for me, okay? Like, I don't want to go in a straight line in the snow, let alone in a freaking circle. You might as well just go on a merry-go-round and be like, I want to get somewhere, I want to get somewhere super fast, but not actually get there. Like, that's what it feels like going around a roundabout in the snow. And then, if you're like me, I'm not used to not driving. So, like, I drive from the passenger side. And if you don't know what that means you're not a driver or you haven't driven in a long time. To drive from the passenger side means when you think that the person should brake, your foot's over there tapping like you're tapping a brake. If you think the person should move faster, you're pushing on the gas. And we all know Mr. Coffee drives like a grandma, and during the winter months, I've never been so happy for him to drive like a grandma, because I get hella scared in that gigantic truck the way he be taking these roundabouts. He acts like he's not going around in a circle, and he's just like, wah! I'm like, see, this is why you shouldn't have a big vehicle, because you be acting like you're at the monster truck rally when really you're just in Williston trying to make a sharp turn around this roundabout. Again, moving right along. So we get to Menards. We get out of the car. Now take it. I'm in all black. Okay, just this is going to help you in the story later. I'm in all black. I'm wearing my crafty bitch beanie that I got from Emily Artful, which is an artist here on YouTube that I really like to watch. I have my the crafty bitch beanie. I have my black Zox hoodie with the rainbow stripes. I have on a black pair of sweatpants and some boots that my parents got me for my birthday, or not for my birthday, for Christmas. And we go into the store, And the kids, of course, are like, we're holding their hands when we first get in because we're in the parking lot, and Maggie with the wind, it's just not a good thing. So we're holding their hands through the parking lot, and Orion's like, Mom, you know I'm not a baby anymore, right? Like, when do children realize that they're not babies anymore? Like, what age did your child, if you have one, say, or what age did you do it? When you're just like, you realized you didn't need so much help from your parents and you could do it by yourself. Because Orion has gotten to that age now, and I don't like it, okay? I don't like the fact that he keeps telling me that he doesn't need my help pouring his milk into his cereal or getting his medication out. His medication is allergy pills, by the way. It's not anything like deadly, and he can get it himself. He knows exactly how much he's supposed to take, which is like 1 pill. You can't really mess up 1. Like, he's a mathematician at school, apparently, so you can't really mess up the number 1. And he gets 1 vitamin. So he's gotten to this point now where everything is, I don't need your help anymore. And I'm like, well, dang, don't worry about my feelings. I didn't need those. That's fine. Thanks. So I let go of him. And I kind of push him into the middle of the street because I was like, there, don't need me? Walk by yourself. I can be kind of spiteful sometimes. So I push him, and then I kind of like walk a little bit faster, but not too fast because, again, I'm not trying to slip and fall and hurt myself. And we get into the store, and they're having some kind of event. And I'm like, great, there's going to be a bunch of people in here. But it wasn't a normal event like you would think. It was a 15% off event. And I was like, oh, well, that's different than like what I was thinking. I was thinking they're having like a carnival or some crap. Because again, the people around here are a different type of breed of people. And they be acting like it's not negative degrees outside. So I'm like sitting there like, okay. What did we come in here for again? Like, Mr. Coffee looks at me when we get the cart. And he's like, what did we come in here for again? He goes, we came in for a site or for weather. What do you call it? Weather sighting or something? And I was like, all right. So I grab a cart, and he goes, what do you got the cart for? I'm like, well, to put the stuff in. You going to carry it? And he's like, well, yeah, it's not that much. Oh, okay. Well, I look at the event that they had going on, and it was 15% off anything you can fit in a brown paper bag. And I was like, look, listen, do you know who my parents are? I can play Tetris with anything, okay? Like, don't play with me. Yo, look, listen. We got almost $300 worth of stuff, and we got a 15% off discount because of me being able to put stuff in a bag correctly. So I'm sitting there, and the first thing we do is we walk past sinks and toilets, and Mr. Coffee is talking about, oh, there's that bidet. I'm like, if you don't shut up about that goddamn bidet, which, by the way, new nails from Mystria Diamonds over on Etsy. You guys go check her out. She is doing her thing. I love these. I love them so much. Yes. So I actually bought these a while ago, like Halloween last year, and I'm just now getting to wearing them. So thank you to Mystria for the beautiful nails. So yeah, anyways, sorry, I got like sidetracked there. So the first place, we walk past the toilets and bidets and stuff, and he's looking at the sinks. Now, one of the things that we like to do whenever we go to places like Menards or Lowe's or Ace Hardware, because apparently they still have one of those here, we like to go take a look at like house stuff, because if we ever built a house, what items would we have in our house? So we're picking out what type of sink we would have, and what type of toilet, and what type of bathtub, and we get to floor mats. Now, floor mats, not for the bathroom, but for like your entryway doors and stuff. And they have floor mats for outside, and I believe Tyra might have gotten me a floor mat for outside that says wipe your paws. And so I'm like, well, we don't need one of those because we have one outside. It's just currently covered in snow. Which every time you knock it off, it snows again. So I refuse to knock the snow off of it because I'm pretty sure that that's what's controlling the snow here. Is that correct? No. But am I going to believe that? Yes. Moving right along. So I look, and they have the mats for the inside of the house, but they have like the bigger mats because we have 2 small mats. But I wanted a bigger mat for in front of the door for the inside. So I was like, oh, look, they have mats for the inside of the house. I find one. It's literally the exact same shape as the entryway into my house. Now, the entryway into my house is wood. And so I would like something there for whenever we come inside. Because if you've tried stepping on a floor with wet shoes, especially a wood floor, it gets slippery. So I wanted something for the inside of the house. I was like, oh, let's get a mat. This is only $15. Let's get this. Now take it. This bag event said anything you can fit in the bag for 15% off. Look, listen, I commenced to rolling that mat as small as I could, and I stuck it in the bag. And I'm like, 15% off. And he's like, you're joking, right? I'm like, nope. It says anything you can fit in the bag, as long as it's not 2 feet out of the bag, like the top of the bag, you can put it in there. And the mat was only 1.5 feet out of the bag. So I was like, aha, loophole, wah, 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 wah. So I'm like, okay, because like you talk about thrifty shopper. Look, listen, I got you all day with the thrifty shopping, okay? So he goes, all right, we got a mat. Now let's go back and look at the siding and stuff. Well, we go to look at the siding, and then they have doors. And I'm like, ooh, look at this door. Ooh, look at that door. If I get a sliding glass door, this is the type of door that I would want. Now, the sliding glass door that I was looking at had the blinds on the inside. So, like, in between the 2 panes of window was the blinds, where you had, like, a little knob on the side where you press it up and down, and the blinds open and close, or you can pull them up or pull them down, or push them down, I guess. And so I was like, ooh, I really like this one. This is the one we have to have if we ever buy a house. And he's like, oh, I've never seen those before. And I'm like, how have you never seen these before? Now, if you know what I'm talking about, or if you have them, how do you like them? How are they with the weather? Because literally, I'm not joking. I want those for my house. So, like, I want to get like a review from you guys if you have them, or if you've seen somebody or know somebody with them. How do they do, like, in the weather months and stuff like that? Because, like, not having to clean blinds, I'm here for it. Anyways, moving right along. So we picked out a front door, and so essentially what I did was I have a sketchbook that I carry around with me all the time. And I like kind of made this little house, and I kind of sketched out what each piece looked like that I would want for the inside of the house. And so we were essentially building a house just for the fun of it, because that's part of the fun of going to the store, is that they have literally everything. So we're sitting there and we walk past the refrigerators and the stoves and the microwaves and stuff like that. And then on the other side is food. And I was like, oh, look, they got food. I forgot they have food here. We go over and look. Next thing you know, 2 boxes of brownies are going in the brown paper bag. And Mr. Coffee's like, you know, you're not going to have room for, you know, a bunch of stuff in that bag. And I'm like, you want to bet? Anywho, we're going through the food aisle, and then I find that they have chocolate wafers, which wafer cookies are some of my favorites as well. So I was like, ooh, let me get some wafers. So I got the chocolate wafers and a thing of vanilla wafers, not like the cookies, but they're actual wafers with like this weird cream stuff on the middle of it. Stay hydrated, folks. So I got some wafers and I stuck them in the bag. And he's like, you know, we only came in here for 2 things. I am aware of this, sir. Let's keep moving. As we're moving, he finds that they have chips and salsa. And he's like, oh, look, chips and salsa. Let me put... I'm like, we're only here for a few things. Every time he looked at something, I would do that. Because I'm like, why are you always doing this to me when we go places? You're always like, we came here for one thing. I don't hear you saying no. Moving right along. So, of course, the kids are having a blast because we're looking at all this cool stuff. And, like, they had beds in there. And I wasn't about to lay on the bed, but I was, like, touching the bed. And then my hand sanitizer. Because, look, listen, I've already had the Rona once. Don't need it again. I'm good. So, we're looking at the beds. We're looking at the stoves. And I was like, oh, I would like a stove that we have now. The stove we have in this house, like, this house seems really fancy to me. Because it has a lot of stuff that I've never had in an apartment before. So, it has, like, the glass top stove. So, it doesn't have the aisles. And it doesn't have, like, the drip pans. And I love that because I would rather it burn up and set fire to the house on the top of the stove versus me having to try to touch that hot ass aisle, burning myself, trying to get stuff from underneath the aisle because it's burning and setting itself on fire. So I like the stove that we currently have. Okay. And then we were looking at fridges and they have the smart fridge. Now my parents have this fridge, which is the one where you can tap it and look inside of it. And then you can like go on your app on the phone and look inside of it to see what you got in there to make sure you're not double buying stuff that you don't need. So I was like, oh, we got a house. We have to get this. And Mr. Coffee's like, yeah, but it has to be an Apple one. I'm like, they don't have an Apple one, y'all. Settle the debate. Do they have an Apple refrigerator? I don't believe that they do. Mr. Coffee claims that he thought he saw one. I'm pretty sure he's completely insane because I didn't see no freaking Apple fridge. Anyways, moving right along. So we're then looking at the microwaves. And I was like, I want a microwave like we have now. Essentially, the house that we're currently living in was great for me, except for I would change the shower heads. I would put a bigger tub in my bathroom, And the faucets in the bathrooms and sinks and stuff, I would change them to like black, like a matte black type material. So I was like, you know, we're looking at, I'm like, oh, I would kind of want a microwave like we have now. The microwave we have now hangs above our stove. Now it hangs from the cabinets. I'm not sure how it's being held up there by hopes and dreams and prayers, I guess. But I don't know nothing about like any of that. I just know I like it. So I was just like, you know, I would want a microwave like we have now that just it's kind of floating between the cabinets there. And Mr. Coffee's like, yeah, it is a nice thing. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't like the microwave itself. Like, if we could get another microwave. And I showed him one that had Bluetooth. And he's like, what do you need that for? I'm like, well, what if you're in the living room and you warm up food and you go to check on it and it's still cold in the middle? Like, you go to make a Hot Pocket and the center of it's still icy. Like, you can just reset it from your phone. He's like, that's not a thing. I'm like, it is a thing. So we're essentially building up this house, and we're like, they have the doors there. And I don't know why you need to test a door. Please explain to me why people want to test the door, okay? Like, literally, they have the show floor. Sorry, the stutter's coming back. They have the show floor, and every door has its own, like, you can open it, you can lock it, you can walk through it. And I'm like, I get the opening and locking it part. Like, I get that. What I don't get is why they have it where you can open the door to walk through it. Like, the sticker on the door legitimately said, try me out, walk through me. What is walking through you going to do? Like, I want to understand why walking through a doorway is something that you need to try before you buy it. Now, if it was like a tool of some sort and they had like a plank of wood there and they're like, try this Sawzall. All right, bet. But it's a door. They all do the same thing. One opens, one closes, they both close, they slide back and forth. There's only so much a door can do, okay? And I don't think you need a sticker on it that says, try me. Now, I'm not sure if the store put that sticker on there or if somebody walking by was just trolling them, but I just thought that was the funniest crap in the world, because why? Who's out? I want to know right now. Who is out here trying doors? Who's out here buying doors, gets them home and installed and goes, I should have tried it at the store, because the way I walk through this one, I don't feel happy when I walk through this one. But the one I was looking at, I feel happier when I walk. Like, who's doing this? Okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, we finally find, not without having to ask for help, because I see some guy walking past and I'm like, excuse me. Now, I then remembered what I was wearing. And on top of the crafty bitch hat, the knit beanie, and then my black Zox jacket, my black pants, and my dark blue boots, I also had a face mask on, which is one of my favorite ones, which is the one with the teeth and the skull. And it looks like your mouth is like the skull of your mouth. I had that on, and I walk up to this guy, and I'm just like, excuse me, could you show us where the weather siding is for doors? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's right over here. And some lady out of nowhere is like, I love your hat. And I was like, thanks. And she's like, the weather siding's right over there. We just came from over there. I was like, thanks. People here can be so nice when they want to be. There's always a couple of bad eggs. But for the most part, the people here are really nice. So I was like, thanks. We go over. We're looking. And then, like, it has them set at, like, it has everything in sections. And it's like, weatherize your front door with these weatherizing things. And it has good, better, best. I want to know why this is a thing. This is like diamond painting, where companies will give you the size option. And it's like, you know that first size option, even though it's cheaper, isn't going to be the best. It's not going to give you the best detail, but you're like, I only got so much money. And right now we're trying to save money because of Mr. Coffee's truck needing to be repaired. And I'm pretty sure that's about to cost me an arm and a leg. And he's like, can you make cups soon? Yes, I will make cups soon. So I have to make cups soon so we can help pay to fix whatever the hell's wrong with Mr. Coffee's truck. So I'm sitting there and we're looking at the stuff. And he's like, well, why don't we get this stuff? I'm like, because it's just good. Do you want something that's just good? Or do you want something that's better or the best? Okay? Don't settle for good. Okay? Settle for better or best. Okay? And he's looking at me. He's like, what's wrong with you? Look, listen. I'm trying to live my blessed life, and I want the best for my family. And that means buying the siding and I look down, and for like, what is it, 2 feet of this siding is $36. I'm like, no. So let's do it better. We're going to go better than good, but not best. We're going to go better. So I'm looking at this siding, same size, and they wanted, I think, what was it? I think it was like $23. And I was like, let's go for good. Good is good. Good doesn't mean bad. I mean, they use it indoors all the time anyways, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with good. And I look at the good, same size, $4.56. And I'm like, and sold. All right. So I take it. Because remember, this is 2 feet of this stuff. So it's pretty long. So I take it around my hand and I roll it up really tight. And I stuff it in the bag. He goes, hold up. How the hell? I'm like, it's in there. 15% off. So the next thing we had to look for is the little piece that goes underneath the door. Because one of the things we noticed when it was like, I don't know, negative 20 something degrees outside, was that we could see the sunlight underneath the door. And I'm like, well, that's not good. Essentially, all the heat from the house is just seeping out through that hole. So we got to replace that too. So we went looking for that, which was on the same aisle. The kids are looking at gun safes at this point, and they don't know what they are because they didn't bother to read the tags. So Ryan's like, Mom, look at this cat cave. And I was like, hold on a second, dude. Because me and Mr. Coffee were talking about something. He's talking about a cat cave. And I'm like, there ain't no cat caves in this place. What's a cat cave? So I turn around. He's like, look at this cat cave. It has like this bolted door on it. It had like one of those like spinny locks on it. And I'm like, dude, that's not a cat cage. He goes, it is. Look at the fuzzy inside and all the layers you have to it. And it even has these little notches up here for their feet. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to give y'all 5 seconds to guess what he was looking at. 5, 4, 3. Write it down in the comments. 2, 1. You ready? He was looking at a freaking gun safe, okay? A gun safe. Meanwhile, Maggie has magically disappeared. We have no clue where the hell Maggie is. 1 minute she's standing next to me, the next minute she's gone, and I'm like, okay, Orion, where'd your sister go? I don't know. Oh, we don't know where your sister went? Is that what we're doing now? We just don't know? You're not helping mommy pay attention? And he's like, that's your kid. You know what? All right, we're going to do a little bit of reverse diamond painting because I just realized that I was putting these down on the wrong symbol. This happens sometimes. Don't worry about it. But it's not a big deal. Just move it to the right symbol. And then whenever you run out of that symbol, just put them back in your container. It sucks because they get sticky and stick together, but it is what it is. So that'll teach me next time to pay attention to what I'm doing. So we're sitting there. I'm like, hold on, where'd your sister go? And I hear her giggling like close. And I was like, okay, she's close to here because I can hear her laughing. Y'all, why is this girl sitting in said gun safe like 2 safes down from what we're looking at? And these are the big jumbo ones. And don't worry, before somebody says something, disclaimer, the gun safes at the stores usually have the locks activated so that you can't close them because they know little kids are going to go sit in there. So we're sitting there and Maggie pops out of the thing. She goes, here I am. And I'm like, Maggie, sweetie, honey, look, listen. Where you are an explosive device, okay? You are an explosive device. You cannot be going to sit in the freaking gun safes. You're going to have people calling CPS on me, okay? Sit down. And of course, I say CPS and Orion looks at me. Mom, what's CPS? Oh, jeez. This kid, he's so inquisitive about everything. And I'm just like, look, listen, CPS are the people that come and take you away from me when I'm not being a good mommy. He goes, well, you're a good mommy. I was like, thanks. He goes, most of the time. You know what? Go sit down somewhere, Ryan. Leave me alone. Because he always got something smart to say. And I'm just like, whatever, dude. And Maggie goes, I'll go with CPS. Please stop saying CPS as loudly as you are in the middle of this store. Nobody's going to CPS. Nobody's finding a new home. You're not stray dogs. Maggie's like, I like to be a stray dog. Shush, Maggie. So we moved from there because we got the siding that we needed. And Mr. Coffee's like, all right, are we ready to go? And I was like, well, no, let's take a look around. And he goes, we've already looked around enough. If we look around anymore, this cart is going to be full. And I'm like, and I'll just have to go get another 15% off bag. And he's like, and that. He goes, this is why we can't go shopping places. And I'm like, oh, don't fuss. I'm not going to buy anything else. Well, I ended up getting a new pair of gloves. I got some headphones. Maggie got a watch. Orion got a new cat book. Mr. Coffee got a new power tool. And I was like, I don't mean to brag, just put it in the bag. I was like, I literally stuffed all that stuff into the bag. We got some plant food because a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Coffee decided he was going to get a piece of bamboo from the store. Look, listen, y'all. I have the black thumb, not just figuratively, I have the black thumb. So it's not just a figurative statement, it's a literal statement. I kill anything that I have to take care of. These kids, lucky they survived this long, okay? Like, literally, I cannot keep a plant alive to save my life. And so he bought bamboo in here, and I'm thinking, okay, anything that's brought into my house, I usually end up having to take care of. And I'm like, if you don't want the bamboo, and you want it to watch it die slowly as I overfeed it and don't give it enough sunlight, then do that. But me personally, I don't want bamboo in the house. There's no pandas or anything here to eat it, so why do we have bamboo? He don't know. He just knows he wanted it. Its name is Tom. He named the bamboo. I mean, if nothing else, this shows you guys that you can, like, take the diamonds off the kits, because some glue is super tacky where you can't get the glue or the dots or the diamonds off. Not this one. This one you can get the diamonds off. This is reminding me of a Diamond Art Club kit, so I'm really enjoying it. Anyways, so we move along past the safes and everything, and we're looking at the screen doors again for the back door, patio door, whatever you want to call it. And Mr. Coffee's like taking notes of things, and like he's trying to explain something to me. And we're walking through the store, and we're back in, like, somehow we got to Christmas aisle, which is right across the aisle from area rugs. And I was like, how cool would it be to have an area rug? And he goes, yeah, something else for the ferrets to steal. Look, listen. So before we left to go to the store, I was looking for a pair of shoes, and I couldn't find them. Now, normally we put our shoes up on the dog crates so that the ferrets don't get a hold of them because they will hide them, okay? So I lost one of my tennis shoes. And I don't wear my tennis shoes often, mostly because right now it's wintertime, so the only pair of shoes I'm wearing are going to be boots because the snow's pretty high out there. Push that right there. And so I was like, you know, I don't want to, well, I want to wear my tennis shoes, so I got to find my other shoe. So I go looking for it. It's been a whole 24 hours, and I still have yet to find this shoe, okay? I've looked in 3 different stashes that I know the ferrets have, and I still can't find this freaking shoe. I have no clue what they did with it. I'm trying to get this diamond over here. If you have trouble picking up a diamond, what you can do is wet your finger a little bit, just make it damp, and then touch the diamond, and it automatically comes up for you. So, little trick there if you're new to diamond painting. So yeah, so we're back in the Christmas aisle. Maggie's looking at Christmas items because, of course, Maggie's favorite holiday is Christmas. She still has no clue that we have gifts for her from Christmas. Anyways, so we're walking through, we're looking at stuff. We were looking at area rugs, and he goes, I bet you can't get this rug in the bag. And I'm like, all right, bet. So he bets me that I can't get this area rug in the bag. So what I do is I loosely roll it at first, and then I went, no, I got this. So I took the mat that I had previously rolled in the bag, took it out of the bag, put it on the area rug, rolled them both up super tight, stuck it in the bag. Boom. 15% off. And Mr. Coffee's just like, let's get the hell out of this store. So like I said, we bought a couple of things. We walked around the entire store. It was a lot of fun to walk around and like build our house and everything else. And then we get back home, or before we get home, Mr. Coffee's like, what are we going to do for dinner? He goes, I don't want you to cook. I want you to relax. You've gone through a lot this last week. Let's just relax for tonight. And I was like, all right, let's get Chinese food. So we went over to a place called Rice Bomb, which is one of my favorite places to get Chinese food here in Williston. And we got dinner, okay? We go home, and Mr. Coffee goes and walks the dogs. I set everybody up to eat. We eat dinner. We're sitting, talking, having a normal, good old time. And then I start hearing squeaking out of the living room. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Which, by the way, thank you all for being great sports with the cliffhanger from last week. I promised I'm not going to do it this week. But I just wanted to say thank you because I don't like cliffhangers. But I was like, let me try this real quick. But I thought that was hilarious. So I was like, I'm just going to do it for this week to see how they react. And y'all reacted essentially how I thought you would. You're just like, oh, come on, Miss Coffee. That's wrong. So I apologize for those folks that had to wait. And if you ended up catching the Wip N Chat late, like a couple of people, look, listen, you didn't have to wait too long. You just had to wait long enough to go over to the next video, which was the Friday Night Live. So there you go. Anyways, so we get our dinner, we eat dinner. Mr. Coffee's like, okay, I'm going to work on that stuff tomorrow. And I was like, all right. So we spent the rest of the night just kind of hanging out. And he was like, let's do late night date night while, you know, I have the energy to do so. Problem is, he ended up passing out around like 2:45-ish. And we go to our spot to get food from that late is Hardee's because they open up, I want to say they open up at 4 a.m. So he'll wait till 4 a.m. and then start his car, get it warmed up and everything, and then he'll head out there. And by the time he heads out there, they would have just been open for just a little bit, long enough to like make new coffee and all that other good stuff. So we had a late night date night on Saturday night, which was a lot of fun because we just ended up watching Markiplier, which is a gamer here on YouTube that we like to watch. And we just sat and talked about everything. And I was, you know, he told me, because again, like I said, we all grieve differently. So like he was asking me about my gram, and you know, he's never had the pleasure of meeting her. So he was curious about her. So he was asking me questions about it and like growing up and everything. And so I was talking to him about my gram, reminiscing about good times. And I was feeling really good until the next morning. So Sunday comes. And Sunday is cleaning day. Don't mind the car outside that's being obnoxious. Hold on a second. Alright. So Sunday comes. And Sunday is cleaning day in my house. So we do laundry. We vacuum all the rooms. Vacuum the hallways. Vacuum the living room. The craft room. Sweep and mop the kitchen floor really good. Because the kitchen floor usually gets mopped by the Swiffer mop until... Okay. I have one of the robots that can vacuum or that can mop as well. But when Rachel had hers, her thing kept releasing the mop part of it off where it holds the water and making big messes on her floor. And I've been scared to use my mop ever since, and I refuse to use it. So it's never that function has never been used on mine. And so, which is funny because Rachel's probably gonna be like, just use it. And so I've never used that part. So during the week, I usually will use a Swiffer mop, which is like, it has the reusable pads on it. So I'm not wasting a bunch of pads. And it does a pretty good job because it collects the dog fur and everything off the floor. And when you have hardwood floors, if you do not sweep and mop regularly, you will know that you haven't swept and mopped regularly. So yeah, okay, got stuck to the tweezers. We're almost done, don't worry. Maybe. But I think 4 of these are wrong. And the good thing about this is it's not a mystery kit, so I can tell if underneath is wrong or not, because if it's dark underneath, then I know it's correct. If it's light underneath the diamond, I can tell that it's incorrect. So that's very helpful for this right now. I just have these 4 diamonds left. Anyways, so we get up, and I decide tomorrow is a wash day. Now, if you don't know what a wash day is where I wash my hair, deep condition it first, then wash it, deep condition it again, and then set it to a style to, you know, do its thing. Now, right now, I'm over here looking like buckwheat because I just put it in braids and kind of put rubber bands on it, so I guess maybe like a little like Coolio. But I wanted to put it in braids because it makes it look super curly when you take them out of the braids. So it's in braids right now. But I was up there for 2 hours doing just doing my hair and stuff. And my phone would not stop going off. Now, this is where I get mentally overloaded. Because notifications from YouTube, I can check those anytime. When I'm constantly getting phone calls, that's when I get overloaded. So, like, my sister called me that morning at, like, I don't know, 10:30. And I'm like, what do you need? And she's like, nothing, just want to talk. Okay, that conversation will be there whenever, you know. I wake up, here in a little bit, but okay. And right now, I don't really want to talk to anybody. I'm kind of like in my own bubble over here. I just want to sit with how I feel and allow myself to feel how I'm feeling and not like have to talk to somebody about how I'm feeling. I'll talk to Mr. Coffee about it, but I don't want to talk to anybody else. And so my sister calls because she wants to talk. She's sad. And I'm like, well, I'm sad too, and I don't want to talk to you. So she, you know, she stops talking to me. And then my nephew calls, and he's like wanting to show me baby stuff. And I'm like, where I really want to see the baby stuff, I can't right now, but I can't. I will call you tomorrow or something. So I'm probably going to call him after I'm done here so he can show me the stuff, because he's a first-time dad, and he's super excited because he bought his baby some clothes, and he has a little girl, and he was just like, you know, I just want to show you baby stuff. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll have to talk to you later because I'm in the middle of something, because I was doing my hair. Well, then my dad calls, and I'm like, I can't do this right now. Like, I legitimately cannot do this. So I didn't answer the phone because I was doing my hair, and two, I'm mentally overloaded. I don't need to be sitting on the phone for hours. And I know if I get on the phone with my dad, I will be on there. I will get stuck on there forever. So I was just like, I'm not doing this today. I'm just going to take the day and get off the phone. I'm going to turn the silencer on and not be bothered. Now, I haven't been bothered by subscribers. But family, I've been getting a lot of calls from family due to, of course, the recent events in the family. I've been getting a lot of calls from family, and I've been on the phone a whole awful lot more than I usually am. And I don't already like being on the phone a whole lot as it is. Like, I don't like being on phone calls and stuff. So to be forced onto phone calls almost every day, and then when something horrific happens, be forced onto the phone to talk to people you don't normally talk to on a regular basis and stuff like that, it gets me into a spot where my brain is just mentally overloaded. I can't take it. So this is where the headphones come in. So what ends up happening is when I get mentally overloaded, I start snapping on people. So I will purposely stop talking to people so I don't snap on them, because I know how I am. I'm very self-aware of how my attitude is, and there's not really, I mean, I can take medication for it if I want to be a zombie, but I don't want that. So I was just like, you know, I got to focus on, I have to focus on something to get myself out of that space. And I knew it was getting bad because I snapped on Maggie when she asked me, could she have pretzels with her sandwich? And Mr. Coffee's like, get the headphones. So I was like, okay, what's up with the headphones? He goes, let's try something. So he puts the headphones on me, and I turn on music, and I just sit there with the music, and I'm listening to the headphones, and I'm drawing. And it helped a lot. And I was just like, whoa, okay. Now I see why you got me the headphones. So now, whenever I get mentally overloaded, it helps you to zero in and focus on one thing. And I can listen to TikTok on it, with them in. I can, you know, listen to notifications, because me and Becky's Madness for Crafting, whenever we talk, we do like voice chats back and forth. So I can listen to them on the headphones. I can also, if I'm on the phone, I can talk because it has a built-in microphone. So I was like, oh, sweet. We got those from Menards as well. Again, I don't mean to brag, put it in the bag. These headphones cost me $5 after the discount, okay? So I was just like, sweet. So I've been in like this headphone coma for the last 24 hours, pretty much. Just headphones in, and it'll tell you if you have a call coming in. And later that evening, my dad called me back, and I was like, again, I don't want to do this. I could feel myself getting angry, and I was like, I don't want to talk to him right now. And Mr. Coffee's like, you don't have to talk to him. Just keep listening to your music and stuff. Mr. Coffee made brownies, and essentially Mr. Coffee's been my rock throughout this whole ordeal, because I can get very angry when I'm sad just because I don't like being sad. So I tend to be kind of cranky when I'm sad. So he helped me by, like, he was just spending time with me, talking to me about, like, you know, what I want to talk about or whatever, trying to keep my mind off things, trying to help me not get irritated, because like I said, I kept getting phone calls and kept getting, like, no matter how much I kept telling people, you know, I'm busy today, could you just call me back another day? They just kept calling and calling and calling, and I'm like, I've had enough. I just want to be done with this whole thing. Can we just be done? And so Mr. Coffee thought of the headphone idea, I guess, while we were at Menards. And I'm glad he did, because it really has been helping, especially today. I'm home by myself because the kids are at school and he's at work. So I'm just like, awesome. I had my headphones in this morning. I listened to Rachel Ray's Wip N Chat. I watched some art videos, and I was like, okay, I should probably get up now and get some work done. I didn't want to, but I did because I'm an adult. Anywho, so that was pretty much our weekend. I'm still dealing with the whole, like, my grandmother passing stuff. It's still bothering me, but I'm starting to make peace with it, knowing that she's no longer in pain and she's in a better place, and all that fun, happy horse crap that they tell you to think of whenever somebody passes away. And I'm just like, okay, I can take solace in the fact that she is now with her son, and she's better off there than here. Because look, the world has gone to crap. Did y'all hear about Bob Saget? Oh my God. And then the guy from, I don't remember what the name of the band was, but I remember the song. The song's name was Juicy. The guy's name is James Matoom. I want to say it's James Matoom. He did like jazz and R&B and stuff. And he was in a band that sang the song Juicy. Like, I can't think of the tune of the song off the top of my head right now, but he passed away, and then Sidney Poitier passed away, and I was like, dude, 2022 sucks, okay? It just sucks. So I'm trying to get into a better headspace. Mr. Coffee, like I told you guys last time, he's talking about wanting us to get in shape. And I keep trying to tell him that round is a shape, but he wants to get into more of like a rectangle shape and not a circular shape. And I was like, okay, fine. Whatever. And so he bought me for Christmas. It's something I actually asked for, but I thought he had forgotten about it, but apparently it was just delayed in shipping. And I was just like, what did you get me? And he told me to wait till he got home. This was like a week or so ago. I just remembered to tell you guys about it. I don't know if you've ever saw it. It's called a weighted hula hoop. I've had one before, but not like this one. The weighted hula hoop that I got has the ball on it, and you have to keep the ball going in a circle, and you really have to move to keep it going. And it sits tight up against your stomach, not tight to the point where you can't breathe. It's not a corset. It's a hula hoop, folks. And it sits up close to your stomach, and you have to spin it around. Now, I've had the hula hoop since maybe 4 days after Christmas, maybe 2 days. And since I've had the hula hoop stays tight to your stomach until you start losing weight, and then you remove a link for, however much weight you're losing. Well, I was able to remove 2 links from the hula hoop to get it tight again on my stomach. And I was like, yes, get it. And Mr. Coffee's been doing his little workout things too. And then he got like this meal replacement stuff, because we don't eat breakfast and lunch typically. Not because we can't, it's just because we're too lazy to do so. So he got this stuff called Huel, and it's like a meal replacement, and he really likes it, and he's been using that, and he's lost a couple of pounds. So he's like, let's focus on getting ourselves healthy for the new year. Let's not focus on all this negative stuff. I'm like, it's hard because it keeps getting shoved into my face. So he's like, all right, let's just, let's work. You want to work out together. That can help, get your mind off things. And I was like, all right. Well, Maggie decides to pull out her hula hoop and hula hoop with us. Now, I had never tried this hula hoop before. So this is like when I first got it, by the way. So I was like, all right, let's try it. So I put it on, and I'm like, wow, it's tight on my stomach. Is it supposed to be this tight? And Mr. Coffee's like reading the instructions and everything. He's like, yeah, it's supposed to be tight around your stomach so that when you lose weight, you remove the links. And I was like, all right. Well, I start using it. I go to, swing my hips around and go use it. And again, it has this weighted ball on it that you have to spin around. Maggie got a little too close and got clocked upside the head with the ball. Now take it. The ball is soft. It has something in it that weighs it down, but the ball itself is soft. So it's not like she got hit in the head with concrete. It was just like this little rubber ball thing. And so she's like, ow, mama, she falls over. Meanwhile, I don't know why in my head it didn't dawn on me to, okay, stop hula hooping and help your child. I didn't stop. So as she went to go try to get up, it hit her again. And then like Daisy comes in because she hears her fall to the floor. And she goes rushing over to Maggie. And I'm like, oh, Daisy, help Maggie. Daisy ends up getting hit in the head as well. I used to hit her in the butt. And then Killian comes in. He sees it. He runs the other way because he's smart. Mr. Coffee comes over. And I go to stand up. And it hits him right in the jewels. And he's like, oh, he falls to the floor. And then Orion comes downstairs. He goes, what's all the thumping? And I'm like, I can't stop the hula hoop, but I keep hitting everybody. And Maggie's sitting there laughing at this point because literally I done hit her twice, the dog twice, Mr. Coffee once because he fell to the floor as I hit him the first time. And she's just sitting there hysterically laughing. Orion's just like, what happened in here? It looks like a crime scene. Meanwhile, I'm like sadistically hula hooping. Like, you ever seen somebody like sadistically hula hooping? Yeah, that's a thing in my house now. So, yeah. So I really like the hula hoop. I've lost some weight. I'm not sure how much weight. I don't have scales in my house because they're liars. I don't need that negativity in my house. So I don't have a scale in my house. So when I go to the doctor, that's when I'll know what my weight loss is. But for right now, I've lost 2 links off the hula hoop. And it actually works the way it says it's going to work. I've seen the ads and stuff for it on like TikTok and stuff. And I was like, this crap ain't going to work. This is garbage. Well, I actually got one for Christmas. And I can tell you that it actually does work. So if you're someone that was looking into getting that hula hoop, or if you're interested in it, I will link it down below because I know somebody's going to ask me to link it. So I'll link it down below. Just keep in mind that I do have an Amazon influencer. So the links that I provide from Amazon are going to make me a small commission, so I appreciate that. But yeah, so I have to open the shop up here soon because Mr. Coffee's truck going into the shop, and instead of using up our savings or whatnot, he's like, let's make some cups. I'm like, let's make some cups? Like, you're going to help make cups? Or do you mean you need to make some cups? And he's like, well, no, I want to help you. And I was like, you're going to help me make cups? Look, listen, love my husband to death. I really do. But he wants to help me make cups. And I'm like, I can see this going wrong. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna show you a video, and then I want you to mimic said video. And he goes, all right, bet. So I show him my how to sublimate a tumbler video, which if I remember, I'll link it up in the eye. So I turn on the how to sublimate video. He looks at it. He watches it twice. He goes, I got this. He gets the cup out. He turns the stove on, and I'm like, why are you turning on the stove? And he goes, I'm going to put the cup in the stove instead of having to use the convection oven. Why would you do that? He goes, I don't understand why you didn't do this in the first place, because it would have saved you the 60 bucks on the convection oven, or the 50 bucks on the convection oven. I'm like, dear, if you were to put that cup into the stove, you will never be able to use that stove for food ever again because of the ink particles that come off of the cup when you're making it. You cannot use that for food anymore. And he's like, oh, that's right. I guess you would be right. I'm like, yeah. Let's not kill everybody in our house. We're not going to use the oven. So he goes, okay, let's turn on the convection oven. He goes over to the convection oven. He's turning the knobs and everything. I'm like, don't turn the knobs. They're already preset. And he's like, oh, well, how do you turn it on? I'm like, well, first you might want to plug it up. Now, I don't keep my appliances plugged up. I don't know where I got that habit from, but I don't keep my appliances plugged up. So I'm like, you got to plug it up first. And he's like, oh, okay. He's steadily trying to turn the on switch on, and it's not turning on. He doesn't understand why. And I'm like, turn it on. One. Like, that's like when your grandparents call you because their internet's not working, and you're like, is the power on? Oh, no, it's not on. That's what it felt like in that 30 seconds. So I'm just sitting there like kind of like getting my 7 chuckles in because that was hilarious. And so he turns the convection oven on. He goes, okay, now how do I print this out? So I show him how to print out a simple design. I'm like, it's going to be a full wrap. He goes, all right, I got this. First off, he drops the paper on the floor. Now, if you know anything about sublimation, once that paper is printed, you don't really touch the ink part of it. Not that it's wet. Sometimes, depending on your printer, it might be still wet. But you don't typically touch the ink part of that paper. And he drops it on the floor, which of course it had a couple of pieces of dog fur on it. I'm like, now you got to make sure that there's not a single piece of dog fur on this, because if there is, it'll mess up your pattern. And so he's looking, he's wiping it off with his shirt and everything. He's like, it's good, it's good. Okay. So he grabs a tumbler. He doesn't even look to see what color it is, because I have different color tumblers. He doesn't even look to see what color it is. He just grabs the tumbler off the shelf and he goes, I got this. Pulls out the tumbler. It's a dark purple, okay? And he's like, oh, I don't think that's going to show up on there. No, it's not. You need a white tumbler. And he's like, well, where are they? I'm like, they're labeled. Black tumbler, white tumbler, green tumbler, red tumbler. I'm like, they're labeled. So he goes and finds a white tumbler. And he goes, okay. So in the video, you showed how to do it like this. 25 minutes later, this poor man gets, like, I done walked away, went and played a quick game of Uno with the kids, came back. He's still struggling, trying to figure out how I got that paper on that cup. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I stop him because it was getting sad. And I put the paper on the cup for him. I'm like, there, that's how you put the paper on the cup. And it shouldn't take you this long to put paper on a cup. So he's just like, oh, okay. So I get the paper on the cup. He goes, okay, now how long do I leave it in here for? Now, written on the top of my convection oven are numbers. It's the oven temp and how long to leave it in temp. And he's like, how long should I leave this in for? And I'm like, check the top of the convection oven. He goes, why would I put up the stove for 250 for 3.5 minutes? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, it says, what did it say? He said it says 2.5 minutes for, 250 for 3.5 minutes. And I was just like, hook it on phonics. Work it for me. And he's like, what? Usually we say that in the house whenever somebody says something wrong. Which obviously you can tell it's said to me a lot. Oh, apparently I have a shipment that arrived. They're early today. But I'm sitting there and I'm just like, all right. Let me show you what it actually says. Now, the convection oven actually says 375 for 2.5 minutes. And he's like, oh, okay. So he puts it in. And he goes, how do I set the timer? And I show him how to set the timer. He sets it. This man then proceeds, when the buzzer goes off for it, because my Echo device has an alarm specifically for my sublimation. So I told him to tell her to put on the sublimation alarm while I went to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom, I come back, I hear, holy flip, that's hot. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Please tell me he didn't do what I think he did. Y'all, he done reached into the goddamn on stove without gloves and pulled the cup out. Now, if you didn't know, these cups are metal. So I'm just like, why would you grab it with your bare hand? And he's like, I wasn't thinking. Do you have an oven mitt? I'm like, you don't use an oven mitt. You use a heat glove. So I go over and I grab my heat gloves and I toss it at him. And he gets his cup out. And he's like, that was really hot. You think? So I was just like, oh my God, I can't with this guy. So he lets it cool down while he nurses his burned hand. Comes back to it. Takes the paper off of it. Like I showed him how to take the paper and stuff off of it. Takes the paper off and he goes, why are there all these little lines in my pattern? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, there's all these little lines in here. Y'all remember when he dropped the paper? He didn't get all the dog fur off of it apparently, or all the fibers, because what ended up happening was it tiger striped his pattern because he didn't clear off the paper good enough. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what happens when you get stuff and debris and stuff on your paper. It tends not to work properly and you get the tiger stripes. And he's like, oh, that's a jip. Let's do it again. Now, see, what we're not about to do is that. I'm like, you can help me by packaging orders. How about that? You can package orders. Let me take care of making the cups. Like, I can make them hella quick. So let me make the cups. You package the orders. So that's what we're going to do. Maybe we'll probably do that this weekend. Or I'll make cups throughout the week. Which, tomorrow, I should be able to make cups. So I might make cups tomorrow. And then have some available. Like, I think but I'm not doing a whole ton of them. I'm only doing a couple. So, yeah, be quick with the fingers. And these are going to be new designs. So, yeah. I still have yet to receive my shipment from, I haven't got my shipment from the DH Gate place for my cups. So I got to contact them when I'm done too and be like, hey, where's my cups? But then again, if it's on the slow boat, it could take it a little bit longer to get here. It's only been a month since I placed the order. And for most people that just gasped, for DH Gate, which is like the AliExpress of sublimation stuff, yeah, no. Except for they're not cheap. A lot of those places on there are hella expensive. So there's that. Well, I'm going to finish this symbol quick if I can find it. I didn't finish the whole section, which is fine, but I did get her chesticles finished. But where is that? Oh, there it is. I need 4 of these, and then that finishes that part of this. And then I'm going to let you guys go. Real quick before we go. Like I said, I will be unavailable this Thursday as it is my grandmother's going home service. So I will be an emotional wreck. I will not be okay. So please don't message and ask if I'm okay because I'm probably going to tell you no. I probably actually won't answer, to be honest. But I'm going to be unavailable on Thursday. You will possibly still get a video, which is probably what was just delivered. But other than that, I we'll be around, and I'll see you on the flip side. Thank you so much for watching. Questions, comments, concerns, you know how we do. Put those down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. But with that said, stay safe out here in these crafty streets. Wear your mask, wash your hands, don't touch your face in public, keep your 6 feet, and always try. Be kind, be courteous, be cool. Bye guys.